pinching of the shoulder or that pain that you get when you're raising your arms above your head, if there's a systemic inflammatory issue, it could be affecting those areas, right? Could be gender related, it could be whatever. It could be, there's so many aspects that could be involved with the shoulder. We're gonna tell you what it is, and we're gonna tell you how we fix it. I'm gonna give you guys 4 exercises that you guys can possibly do that may be able to help your shoulder impingement syndrome.
I think I developed some kind of shoulder impingement.
Okay, how did you know?
Well, there was a few things. Number one, there were times where I would feel numbing in my hands or my hands were cold. And at the same time, when I lifted it up, I would feel like a pinching.
Okay.
Right, so those are the primary things. And then sometimes it'll move to like, if I do a push-up, I feel the pinching, so forth and so on.
And you're feeling pinching on both sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before it used to be one, then
it's starting to go on both sides.
Because I want to be balanced.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like there's more things going on there than just an impingement. But let's talk about the impingement syndrome problem first. But most people will hear that, right? They'll go, oh, I got this pinching pain when I raise my hand up. I'm going to give you guys 4 exercises that you guys can possibly do that may be able to help your shoulder impingement syndrome rather than just stretching and rolling out. Let's go for it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so remember, the exercises that I'm gonna give John right now, these are general exercises. If you're dealing with some type of a shoulder impingement or some type of pain, rotator cuff pathology or injury, make sure you guys get checked first. You can get diagnostic checks with advanced imaging. You can get an assessment done by a movement specialist, by a sports medicine doctor, or a physical therapist, chiropractor, right? And make sure that these exercises are good for you to complete. So with John here, I'm trying to get movements from multiple joints working together as a pattern. So the first thing I'm going to have him do is I'm going to have him lay down on this bench here. No, lay all the way forward, John, so your chest is against there you go, and straighten out your legs from behind you. And so as he's laying face down here, all I'm going to do is without any weight just yet, let's say it's his right shoulder, I'm going to have him just work the pattern where his eyes are going to be focused on his hand here, and he's just working on some rotational movements. And then from here, he's trying to get the mid-back, the thoracic spine to rotate as he's lifting up, back down. So you see how he's kind of going in a half circle here? The main idea is once he gets back here, is he's trying to pull the shoulder blade back. He's trying to pull his head and his neck back, and he's going to go right back down. And so he's trying to rotate, and he's trying to twist, and he's trying to turn. Now, obviously, if that's too easy for him, I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to start adding some resistance. So how easy is that, John?
It's not that easy.
And you could feel it. You could actually feel the shoulder,
side,
the posterior working.
Yep.
Now, I'm also thinking in this case, remember, when there's a shoulder impingement, this may be an issue. The pain may be there, but the suspects are everybody. I'm thinking multiple areas that need to work in order to fix his shoulder. I'm thinking his rhomboids, I'm thinking his traps, I'm thinking his rotator cuff muscles, I'm thinking his scapular stabilizers, I'm thinking his chest, I'm thinking his serratus anterior. There's multiple areas that we're trying to work. Now, he's probably getting a little tired there. If he's not, and I think that it's a little too easy, I'm going to pull a resistant band from there, and I'm going to just give him a little bit more resistance to see if his shoulder can take a little bit more load, as well as his, excuse me, as well as his spine and his thoracic rotation. And that may be able to help just kind of free up those shoulders from that impingement pain. Too often do we look at rotator cuff and we say we need to just work on the rotator cuff muscle in order to fix what we need to do. Okay, so the next exercise that I'm going to have him do, now we're going to switch shoulders because we know both shoulders are the ones dealing with pain. Again, I'm trying to get his body to work together, and what better way to do it than playing catch with a ball. So notice his hand is out here. I want it out to the side a little bit, more like a Y rather than an I. And go ahead and try to play catch. And notice the things that he has to do in order to get this motion down is he has to use his mid-back, he has to use his spinal extensors, he has to use his shoulder, his rotator cuff, he has to use his scapula, and then he has to use his vision. He has to watch how he's playing catch with this ball to try to stabilize. He's using reflective reactions here to try to stabilize that shoulder or move that shoulder. Cool. Go ahead and relax. Now, too often do we hear that we start to get exercises that we start to fear or we start to avoid because of that whole impingement syndrome problem. We started to get rid of the exercise upright rows.
Upright rows, yep.
Upright rows was a bad exercise based off of the impingement type of syndrome that you would get from lifting up. We want to get away from that. We want to just get all of those ideas out. But remember, if there's pain in any of these movements, we don't want it. We want to try to retrain these exercises. So in this case, one of the things that have been forbidden to do in exercises was we forgot to, or we don't want to do anything with the chest or the shoulders or protracting the shoulder girdle and bringing it forward. When in actuality, that might be a good thing for the shoulder to do, right? Because we just don't know exactly what could be causing this pathology. And a lot of the time, it could be just be underuse. And so what I'm going to have him do is he's just going to grab the band. And in this case, John, you're going to turn and face this way. It's just so I can get an angle here. And then from here, you're going to bring that right foot back. Right foot back. And then from here, John, you're just going to rotate forward, and bring it across your body. There you go. And then bring it on back. Bring it up and rotate across your body and back. Good. And bring it up, rotate across your body and back. Good. And this is a simple exercise. It's not hurting your shoulder, right, John?
Nope.
We don't want pain in the movements that we're doing, but we want to try to work against fear avoidance as well. We do not want to fear shoulder movement. We want to increase shoulder movement and we want to increase load. Good. This is exercise number 3, working on that rotational aspect with his shoulder. Cool.
I actually feel my left subscap area.
You feel the subscap, you feel the rotator cuff muscles working, you'll start to feel the rhomboids working, you'll feel the shoulder. And notice the way John is already standing. John stands with his shoulders back like this. So what if his shoulders don't need more retraction? They need more protraction. And in that case, John started feeling that in his mid-shoulders. And this may be a better exercise for him to do in order to relieve that impingement style of pain that he's dealing with.
Yep.
Okay?
Cool.
All right, so the last exercise that we're going to do is we're going to do a pullover exercise. Now, in this case, I want to make sure that he's actually working on spinal flexion here. So he's going to bring his arms up. He's going to stay at a hinge. He's going to hinge his butt back here, and then you're just going to pull those bands all the way down. Now, notice what he just did right there. He pinched his shoulder blades. What I just talked about before was his shoulders might be brought back too much. I want to get a better glide. That's an old school trainer way of thinking where we have to stabilize our scapula. We have to pull our shoulder blade back. In this case, we want better shoulder movement. We want more shoulder movement. So we don't want those shoulder blades pinching. So John, you're going to sit up again. No, don't kick your butt forward too much. You're going to round out. You're going to pull those hands. You're going to bring it down to your knees. That's it. And then you're going to bring it right back up. And he's going to do a little bit of a burnout here. And you don't feel any pinching there, right, John?
No.
Perfect. He's just going to pull down, and he's going to allow his shoulder blades to do what they want to do rather than forcing them back and getting that trap and that rhomboid to start to activate here. And as he's doing that, he starts to burn out. If he does start to burn out, what he can also do is bend your elbows. And he can just start pulling his shoulder blades or his elbows back. And as he's pulling his elbows back, it should pass his spine here. There you go. Good. Just to give him a little bit of help because his arms might be getting tired from being too straight. Now he's working that posterior delt. He's working the rhomboids. He's working the traps. He's working his shoulder blade muscles, everything. Good. Go ahead and relax.
Yeah. Good.
How do you feel, John?
Feels good.
Feels good? Now, when we focused a lot on that right shoulder, how does the left shoulder feel too?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Actually, yeah.
See how that's gonna help your shoulder impingement syndrome.
Yeah.
Now remember, impingement might have been, diagnosed. Shoulder impingement might have been diagnosed for you.
Yeah.
It might not be what we think it is, right? There might be so many other factors playing into shoulder impingement. But if it is biomechanical, try those exercises out. See if they help you. Remember, think of your shoulder and your movement as a pattern versus thinking of it as just a shoulder issue. Because the diagnosis does not necessarily tell us where the culprit really lies, right? Or the victim. Yeah, or the...
Treat it as a system.
Yeah,
Full
exactly.
system.
The system.